Dhyana Shloka. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Puranam Nina Madhe Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshine Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Kullara Vindayata Yachapatra Netra Enatvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Budraya Krishnaya Gita Mritaduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavaha Gogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Mritam Mahate Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishmadrona Tata Jayadrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Vela Kula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavai Rananati Kaivartaga Keshavaha Parasharya Vachasaroja Mamalam Gitartha Gandhotkatam Nana Jnanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpatairaharaha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyat Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamshina Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutahas Punvanti Divya Istavai Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tatgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidusura suragana devaya tasmai namaha. Om. Jai Ho Gurudev Ki. We are now entering chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita. Before we enter, it's always useful to do a little back study. What did we study so far? Has it made a difference to our lives? Do you think it can make a difference to your life? Very important. Do you think it is useful? Or are you reading it just because you want a diversion? These are questions we should ask ourselves very often. See, in chapter 1, the teacher, Sri Krishna, written Bhagavad Gita brought down to us by Vyasacharya, our teacher. Sri Swami Dayananda Saraswati, this is the parampara in which I came through. From Swami Dayananda Ji to my immediate teachers, Swami Paramarthananda Ji, Swami Atmatripthananda Ji, who all brought this teaching right down to us. Most convincing and the most lot of empathy and understanding of our requirements. Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita reveals the fundamental human problem. The fundamental human problem of samsara. Now, what is this samsara problem? The samsara problem has three important limbs, if you can call it that, or one or not separate limbs, all one into the other, collapses into the other. It is called raga, shoka, and moha. Raga, strong desires, obsessive desires. Even it may not be obsessive, it is a certain conclusion that these fulfillment of these will make me a better person, a life of becoming. I am no good as it is. If I fill this, if I complete these items in the agenda, I'll become a better person. That is raga. A conviction that this is a path, and if I do this, I'll become a better person. I'll become a better person in my own eyes. So far, and I'm constantly seeking validation through others. So perhaps I'll get a better self-identification, better self-identity, self-image. So a conviction. It is not just obsessive. It is a conviction. Well, firmly ascertained desire. It just didn't chance upon it. Right from childhood, what have you been told? So, what do you want to become? Now that you have cleared your whatever call it, plus two or whatever. So, what do you want to do now? Finish graduation. So, what do you want to do now? I have completed. So, do you want to start practice or join somebody? Constantly asking you to do what is next. Getting married? Yes. Any news? Is a standard question, interfering too many into into our personal lives. I don't know when we'll get over. So, the life of becoming, raga. Raga can be, in simple English, called as emotional dependence upon external factors to discover the happy person in me. A certain emotional dependence on external factors to discover the happy person in me. To find myself a happier being. As it is, I'm not happy. What is Shoka? Shoka is grief and sorrow that comes out of emotional dependence. Because when you emotionally depend upon external factors, the chances of disappointments are high. You send a message, the blue tick has not come. Your emotional satisfaction depends upon the blue tick. Somebody called me, I didn't receive the call. Who knows, it could be the other person's emotional problem. You didn't bother to take my call. You didn't even bother to message. Could be, who knows. So, emotional grief or sorrow coming out of emotional dependence. That is shoka. What is this moha? Moha is the mind is in the grip of emotional dependence and grief and sorrow coming out of emotional dependence. Okay? And it is unable to think properly. Sense of discrimination seems to have been clouded, lost. This is the fundamental human problem. Chapter 1 highlights this. Okay? Nobody can tell you that this is your problem. This problem has to be discerned. It has to be, you have to arrive at this problem. Arjuna arrived at this problem. Arjuna discovered this problem, that whatever I become, I'm not going to become a better person. I may become fatter, older, richer, more famous, but not necessarily a better person, not necessarily the kind of self-image that I really want for myself. So this is called discerning the problem. Okay, and he tried to solve it by himself. Realize the futility of it, because whichever way you go, you come against a black wall. So you are seems to be in a loop, don't know what to do. Then comes the door left ajar by Ishvara for you, surrendering to Guru. This is discovery of the problem, the futility of trying to solve the problem for yourself, and a certain shraddha in the Guru, knowing that if I go to the Guru with this problem, it will be solved. This is the uniqueness of Gita. Why should Arjuna think like this? First, let's understand. Arjuna has come up in the tradition. He has heard. See, why is this birth in India considered unique? What is so unique about birth in India, that too in the Vedic parampara? Even if you are not directly followers of Vedic parampara, ask somebody who does Vedic puja, why is it so important? Why is this important? We have to inquire. And it is not that we are trying to glorify ourselves, say India is the guru of the world. No. You discover a problem. Many of us say, no, I don't have a problem. I'm fine as it is. Self-denial. You have a problem. You have the openness to admit, I don't know what to do. Whatever I do, futile. The door ajar, seek help. This is the Vaidika Parampara. Seek help from a source, Almighty. That is the unique Vedic Parampara. That's why birth in India is very important. Birth association with it is valid for everybody all over the world, but the whole of Argentina, possibly 2 people think. One person I know well. A few people think. The whole of USA now more people have started thinking. China, nobody has so far thought. If you're from Korea, one. Pakistan, oh God. So this is the importance of being born in this Vaidika Parampara. Problem? Futility. Hey, solution. Why not ask this person? I don't have to go for any other counseling. At the end of the counseling, they say a palliative. Yes, they should be okay. It's a very beautiful story, you know. There was a fellow who thought he was a cat. Whatever he says, no, I'm a cat. Finally, he went to a doctor. A shrink, they call it. He went to a shrink. Now, why do they call him a shrink? I have to possibly look up and find out why is he called a shrink. He went to a shrink. The shrink took him through so many days of therapy. $400 per day. I went through quite a bit. And they say in those, especially in the US, all this is recorded, filmed, and kept in secret. If you reveal to the wrong person, you can be sued. You can be sued in a court of law. Really soon also. And or if you think you have advised somebody wrongly, you can be taken to the court. If you have touched somebody inappropriately, you can be taken to the court. So those fellows are very careful. Everything is recorded carefully. So what happened? This fellow went to court, paid him a huge sum of money, and then at the end of the session, he was convinced that he was not a cat. Fine, wonderful, solved, bill paid, he came back home. After a few days, he refused to get out of the house, saying that, I'm afraid. The wife said, you're not a cat. No, I won't get up. I won't get out of the house. I'm afraid. Finally, the doctor was consulted. The doctor said, okay, I'll give you one free consultation. The shrink, this fellow spoke to the shrink and he said, hey, look, how many times have I told you you're not a cat? And you are convinced you told me you're not a cat. I've got the recording here. He said, yes, I'm convinced I'm not a cat. But how do I know? The dogs do not know this fact. That is called palliative care. I am Atma Swarupam, understand. But Guruji, you come nahi kar paye. This is the problem with Atma Swarupa. But I've understood everything in Vedanta except Satya Mithya. That's why birth in this parampara, birth in the tradition where you have occasionally heard of these things, at least heard of the word of moksha. A person, the deathbed says, I want moksha. But I don't know what he means. Possibly moksha, he means possibly relief. In Tamil, they say, I want nimmadi. I don't know what they say in other language. Shanti chahiye. And when somebody passes away, we write there, no? May he gain sadgati. Whether we understand or not, he has finally taken refuge in the lotus feet of Paramahamsa. All these expressions are used. Tradition. That is why tradition is important. We'll see the role of tradition as we go further. So tradition becomes very, very important for us. That's why he asked this question. Okay? And he did the most intelligent thing to do, surrender to the Guru. If you don't know what to do, surrender. Surrender to the Guru. We'll see the qualification of the Guru. Now, when it comes to the Guru, how do you know he has surrendered? Karpanya dosha apahata svabhava prachamitvam dharma sammura cheta yashreya nischitam bruhi shishyaste aham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. I surrender unto you. Teach me. And Krishna approached this problem with a unique solution. He says, whatever you're right, whatever you try to do, you will never ever become a better person. You are asking a very intelligent question. Asocyan anvasochastvam pragyavadanscha bhashase. You're asking a very intelligent question. You're talking like a wise man, but you are doing things which are so unwise. You are grieving over things that do not deserve grief. To use my Guruji's language, you're grieving over things just because you are not being alive to realities. Sachai ka samna abhi tak aapne nahi kiya. You've never ever faced realities. If you have faced the realities, you have covered, you have buried your head in the sand like an ostrich and hope that it will go away. That's a problem. The problem is that of ignorance, not that something is required to be done. And the only solution for ignorance is knowledge. Ajnana nivritti can happen only through jnana prapti. Let's go back to our lovely story. I don't mind repeating any number of times. Somebody lost a ring in one place. But when he went searching, it was so crowded in that particular lake that he went to search in another lake. He and his family and his uncle, the entire Jing Bang joined them. Do you think they can get their ring? When you search for it in the wrong place, what do you get? Nothing at all. So, he says this is a problem of ignorance. And ignorance doesn't go away by action. Ignorance goes away by knowledge. What knowledge? Knowledge of the reality. It covers a whole lot of, Gita covers a whole lot of subjects. But the main subject is Atma Vidya, and it is called Moksha Shastra. It gives you freedom from Shoka and Moha. Raga is accepted as a fact. I'll have desires. I will want to do this, I will want to do this. It doesn't give you relief from raga. It tells you that emotional stupidity, emotional dependence is ignorance, is out of ignorance. And when you realize that it is ignorant, you will free yourself from the grief coming out of emotional dependence, and then you discover the free person in you. Therefore, it is Atma Vidya, self-knowledge, knowing which you are free forever. Moksha Shastra. So, in chapter 2, we come to chapter 2, Krishna gives the solution for this samsara, saying that the only way out is through Atma Jnana. You have taken yourself to be what you are not. You have taken yourself to be Anatma, whereas you are actually Atma. Atma is imperishable, is infinite, limitless, pure. All that you want to be, you are. Oh, really? Yeah, really. That's the absolute reality. To get hold of this absolute reality, you need a prepared antakarana. For jnana prapti, you need antakarana shuddhi, mental purity. Antakarana shuddhi, mental purity means lack of distractions. Not that you are thinking lousy thoughts, are there distraction. Antakarana shuddhi. Jnana prapti. For jnana to settle down and take root, you need antakarana shuddhi, otherwise called jnana yogyata prapti. So a series of sadhana are highlighted. Okay. The first stage of the sadhana is called karma yoga. Okay. The second stage of sadhana is called jnana yoga. Karma yoga, jnana yoga. Two yogas prescribed. Yoga means sadhana. Karma yoga, you pursue jnanam in and through all your duties. Jnana yoga, you pursue jnanam to the exclusion of other kinds of duties and stick down to routines, just simple routines which are meant for your lifestyle. During karma yoga, yogyata prapti sadhana, to jnana yoga, yogyata prapti sadhana, you have to continue to do three things: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, under a competent guru. And who is a competent guru? The competent guru employs the pramana in a way that you are able to see. Therefore comes understanding Veda as a pramana. Gita is Veda Sara. We'll see a little in details as we enter chapter 4. And it is a pramana. Pramana means what? The means of knowledge for knowing something. When I say pramana, it means it is a primary means of knowledge. To see eyes, you may go to, to see color, you may go to Brahmaloka, but you still have to use your eyes. These are examples we should always recall. Go for eye power check, anything, and after everything is over, Tata, is this better or is this better? Is this better or is this better? Can you see through this hole or see through a bigger hole? Only you can decide. Pramana. Eyes are pramana for seeing forms. Pramana for fragrance. Pramana for shabda. Pramana for sparsha. Pramana for tastes. In the same way, pramana for knowing yourself is Veda Vakya employed by the Guru. Now, where is the problem here? What is our confusion? Where is the moha? Where are we in the grip? Somewhere along the way, we will, as I go through, I'll give you explain a little more in detail. Somewhere along the way, we have stated or we have become research scholars. So some over-enthusiastic people, or I would say under-informed people, trying to translate the whole thing, have told you that the Vedas are like pure science, and this is applied science. Ye kya baat hai? You now have to know the theory. You now have to practice it on a seat of meditation. This is adding to the confusion. Primary sadhana to know whatever you try, you can't see through your eyes. Okay, other than through your eyes. If your eyes are not giving proper information and you are using some other means of knowledge, that means you are using other means, eyes are not working. So that's what it means. The primary sadhana is not. And it is not the way. You can never see color. I once told stories in an institution where all the participants were visually challenged, visually impaired. I was very careful not to use the word color at all. But they said, sir, can we touch and see you? Oh, you're wearing a wristwatch. Those days, no, I don't wear it. You're having glasses. Children touch you, all young children, 7, 10. But nobody touches you and find out, are you dark complexion? Is your hair gray? Are your eyes of a different color? What color shirt are you wearing? No, no way. No way. Whatever you try, if you make your primary sadhana, the secondary sadhana, it will not work for you. The problem with our Vedantic study this century is, somebody has told you that this is theory and then you have to go and practice. Practice what? On a seat of meditation, what will you practice? Kaam ka hone wala nahi hai. You're barking up the wrong tree, searching for the ring lost elsewhere. It's not going to work. So Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, not sporadic, not whenever you have the time. When you do any course, okay, there's a doctor here, there's a doctorate in economics here, there are lawyers here. Yeah, do you do your course whenever and wherever you please, or you have to say so many years followed by internship? Hota hai ki nahi? This is how life is. You can say, Jab marji, I will do and I will practice. What will you practice? So, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana is not as and when you like. It has to be under a competent guru for a length of time regularly. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana has to go on for a length of time. The original thing was 12 years or even longer. Now Swamiji does it, used to do it in his ashram for 3 years. We are now saying, please come to my weekly class once. Once a week, 1 hour. No, and then what happens is, there are more apologies. I can't attend because I'm doing. I can't attend because I'm attending a rehearsal. Somebody is doing some talk on some cinema actress, I want to attend to that. So definitely the priority is low. Your moksha is going to take time. I'm not saying you won't get moksha, it won't take time. Quite simply because there are a lot of distractions. Jnana yogyata prapti is hard work. Through karma yoga is hard. Why karma yoga? Your and our lifestyle is more suitable to karma yoga. We can't pursue knowledge to the exclusion of everything else. Okay? The teaching methodology adopted in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Krishna says, I'm adopting a teaching methodology. Chapter 2 and chapter 18 are called Sangshepa methodology. Okay. Sangshepa Prakriya. Condensed form. Chapter 2 and chapter 18. Chapter 3 through chapter 17, Vistara methodology. Prakriya, Vistara Prakriya. What is said in chapter 2 is expanded over 17 chapters, elaborated over 17 chapters. And in the 18th chapter, it's condensed again. It's kind of upa. There are two things. It has to start with and end with that. So, upakrama, upasamhara, I think they say something like that. Yeah? So, it follows a certain methodology, a prakriya. It's a traditional methodology. This is how teachers will teach. They may use some examples which are different, but all teachers who have gone through this methodology, prakriya, who have studied under a traditional teacher will follow this. I will also follow this without any exception. I may quote examples differently. I may perhaps give you crack a couple of extra jokes which are different. But this is the tradition we will follow. Chapter 2 and chapter 18 are Sankshepa. 3 to 17 are Vistara. Okay. Therefore, this is how the teaching evolves. Karma Yoga is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana in and through all other activities. Jnana Yoga, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana to the exclusion of as many activities as possible. Atma Vichara is the primary goal of Jnana Yoga. Atma Vichara using Shastra under the guidance of a Guru. This is how it is to be done. For Atma Vidya to work for you. Otherwise, you may be well informed, you may conduct a debate, you may even give lectures. But it will remain in a corner of a mind. People say very well, when it comes to, they say in Hindi, Patol ke dekho, it will collapse, the veneer will fall. Scratch, the veneer will fall. It won't work. It doesn't work. Okay, so that's how it is done. Chapter 3, he did an elaboration of Karma Yoga. We saw that summary last week. Okay. In chapter 4, elaboration, he did in chapter 3, he did the elaboration of Karma Yoga, the summary of which we saw last week. In chapter 4, we are going to see the elaboration of Jnana Yoga. It will always draw a reference to chapter 2. You will have to be familiar with, I'm sure all of you have the Gita book. If you have the Gita book, we are going to rely on the elaboration of verses 12. Wait, let me see what are the verses I'm going to take you through. I'm going to expand the verses here. I'll tell you what are the verses we are going to elaborate. I think between 12 and 25. Some verses we are going to elaborate. 12 and 25. That's what we are going to elaborate. Yeah, verses 12 through 25 from chapter 2 are going to be elaborated here. And this subject is called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. That's the title of chapter 4. Okay. So before explaining Jnana Yoga, the teacher takes a small diversion in the form of the first 8 verses of chapter 4. Let us start reading chapter 4. Okay. I'll chant slowly, then to chant. Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha. Atha चतुर्थोऽध्यायः अथ चतुर्थोऽध्यायः ज्ञानकर्म संन्यासयोगः. That's the subject matter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanahamavyayam. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanahamavyayam. Vivasvan manave praha manurikshvak manurikshvakveva manushishvakave bravit. Shri Bhagavan uvacha imam vivasvate yogam proktavanahamavyayam vivasvan manave praha manurikshvakave bravit. So, imam, this jnanam, yoga, this knowledge, I talked it to Vivasvan. Vivasvan is Surya Devata. See elaborately. I taught it to Vivasvan. Vivasvan taught it to Vaivashvata Manu. Vaivashvata Manu taught it to Ikshvaku. This is the parampara. It has come in this form. Okay. Let's see a little more elaborate. So, there are certain factors which we should understand. Here, Krishna is not talking as Vasudeva Krishna, not as Krishna, the Parthasarathi of Arjuna. Here, Krishna is talking as Ishvara. Okay. And he says, I am giving you avyaya knowledge. Avyaya means the knowledge which is as valid today as it was in the past. As it was given, it is valid as today. Purana. Purana means it was valid that day, it is valid today. It is valid now. Not just today, it is valid now. Why is it valid now? What is the subject matter? The subject matter is you are a whole being who lacks nothing. You are a complete being. You lack nothing. Valid that day, valid today. It is not that you were. It is not in the past tense that you were a full being and that you are become incomplete today. You are present tense. You are a whole being. You were ever a whole being. You will ever be a whole being. You lack nothing. This knowledge, he says, I gave it to Vivaswan. Vivaswan is another name for Surya Deva. Teaching. Okay. I give it to Vivaswan. Okay. Viva means food. Okay, food. Sun god. Because of sun, Surya Devata comes food. Let's be very clear there. And in our tradition, everything is pujaniyam. We saw in earlier chapters, in one of our earlier sessions, Ishvara is the abhinna nimitta upadana karana. Ishvara, the cosmic being, has created this world out of himself. And it's an expression of Ishvara's intelligence and material power, material resources. So nothing in Srishti is away from Ishvara. Therefore, Pujaniya Bhava, I gave it to Surya. Surya is not some independent, some element running about here. It's a Devata. It's a cosmic, it works under a certain cosmic order. Under the Surya's heat, in May, when we are saying, oh, all waters evaporate, come down as rain, and they help food growth. One minute, please. One. Sorry. So, Vivaswan, Surya Devata. Surya Devata's order, the heat generates evaporation of water, comes down as Parjanya, and from Parjanya, Anna grows. Anna is your food for you and me. So, there is you have to look at it a little subtly. Meaning, Ishvara gave it to Surya Devata. So if you see a movie, they'll say Ishvara standing, Mahavishnu standing. How do you understand this? Okay, we have to understand the Vedic cosmic clock. 360 human years make one Deva Varsha. 1,200 Deva Varshas make Kali Yuga. 2,400 Deva Varshas make Dwapara Yuga. 3,600 Deva Varshas make Treta Yuga. 4,800 Deva Varsha makes Satya Yuga. So 4,800 plus 3,600 plus 2,400 plus 1,200. 12,000 Deva Varshas make one Chatur Yuga. 71 Chatur Yugas make one Manvantara. At the beginning of Manvantara, at the beginning of every, it's a cosmic cycle. So the Manvantara means when the whole thing manifests itself, and there will also be an equal time where it will unmanifest itself. So it is Manvantara Udaya, Manvantara Sandhya will both take place. So at the time of Manvantara Udaya, when the Manvantara projected itself, when it expressed itself, the first being, as though, is called the Manu. We are out of 71 Chaturyugas, we are in the 28th Chaturyuga. So people who do Sankalpa, you will say, Ashtavimsati Tame. We are in the 28th Chaturyuga. The 28th Chaturyuga's Manu is called Vaivashvata Manu. And this knowledge was revealed to Vaivashvata Manu by Surya. What is this revelation? Who told Isaac Newton law of gravity? It is there all the time. He didn't stumble upon it. We use the expression, it was revealed. We don't want to say it just happened like that. It's not a fluke or something. It was revealed. What was revealed? It was revealed that in this Manvantara of so many trillion years or whatever, human years, there are going to be 84 lakh species. This is not in the Gita. This is I've researched and got it from of course, my teachers have always been there. Not my own kalpana. It's all the teachers and Vedic teachers have it. There are 84 lakh species. Among the species, there are species live which in water. They have only, then there are some species which live on land. They have only sparsha plants and things like that. They can only feel. Some can feel and see. Some can feel, see and smell. Some can see, smell, feel, hear and also make sounds. So according to the evolution, each being is given a species. There are species. They are all called by the name Jantus. Sthavara, Jangama. Jangama is that which doesn't move. Sthavara is that doesn't move. Jangama is that which moves. Sthavara, Jangamam, Vyaptam, Atma, the creative being, the cosmic being is all pervasive. Okay? Among them, I know why it's called a crown. Along with 5, there is a power of choice. That's why the other Jantu's activities are not called karma. It is called cheshta. Okay. The human being's action alone is called karma. Because I have a choice, I can do, I need not do, I can do differently. This is my choice. These are the three exercises of choice possible. And because I can do and do it differently, there is always a possibility of me exercising the wrong choice. The wrong choice can affect me, can affect people around. So, this was revealed. How to live life intelligently was revealed. By whom? Ishvara, Vivaswan, Vivaswan to Manu, Manu to one of the kings in the parampara, Ikshvaku. From Ikshvaku it has come down. Okay? And from Ikshvaku it is called parampara. There are two paramparas. You have to understand this well. One parampara is called the Brahmana parampara. Sanakadi Muni. They are all sannyasis. They are shown as sannyasis. Meaning there are jnanis who have adopted the life of Jnana Yoga to the exclusion of all other activities. They are called Brahmana Parampara. Then you have other parampara called Kshatriya Parampara. Please don't confuse that why are Vaishyas, Shudras and others not included and then come to that lecture, Manuvadi, 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 which becomes an election plank, political plank. Please don't get into that. There are two paramparas. When you say Brahmana Parampara and a Kshatriya Parampara, it means a parampara whose ragas are, what I would say, who doesn't have so much raga to achieve, a Brahmana Parampara. That doesn't mean the person need not be ambitious. A Brahmana Parampara ragas will be, hey, the fellow says, I want to learn the Vedas, I want to teach Vedas, a small place, one day food is okay. Whose demands in life are pretty simple. Who doesn't even want to own a house person. The original sadhus and saints. They say, somebody doesn't disturb me. I know people in Chennai also, Kolkata, where people have been living in the same house for more than 120 years. It's the third year generation. Either the landlord doesn't disturb me. The landlord knows, give me 1 day's notice, I will vacate. I don't want to own his property. That's exactly what the landlord wants. He knows I will not throw all tenancy laws and things like that at him. So there's a Brahmana Parampara. One whose wants are limited, whose demands in life are limited, whose expectations are limited, who has possibly the inner inclination to pursue learning, teaching, and generally following a simple lifestyle, non-demanding in nature and more giving. Brahmana Parampara. In our ancient society, these people became advisors to the teacher, to the kings. Some fellow said, I won't even live in your court. You can call me. If you want, you can come seek me out. I won't even enter the Rajya Sabha. Another fellows like Drona and all, they said, I will live in the Rajya Sabha. Drona was more of an alms, he was more of an acharya, not a guru. I don't know whether there's no historical reference to he having taught Vedanta. He only taught warfare. So it's like Brahmana Parampara. There is a Kshatriya Parampara. What is the Kshatriya Parampara? Kshatriya Parampara is where the teaching is given to people whose responsibilities are more. I am the king. I am the Senapati. I am the Prime Minister of this country. I have responsibilities. I have social responsibilities. I'm an activist. I don't like the word. Okay. Now for these people, they are called Kshatriya Parampara. Kshatriya Parampara means people who had certain, whose wants, whose agenda, who had a lot of agenda. I would not even say who had a lot of agenda for themselves and for others. I should work for economic development. I should work for people's welfare. It should be, I should eradicate whatever, this disease or pandemic in so many years. They should. So there are people who work for bigger costs. All people who come into that. People who want to make money for what? For the welfare of the society. People who want to be arms and legs for what? So that the society is, the social infrastructure runs there. So there are two paramparas, a Brahmana parampara, a Kshatriya parampara. Both paramparas are as valid. Only infrastructure is different. In this group, we can all call ourselves Kshatriya parampara. We have a lot of agenda. So you are more of a Kshatriya parampara, definitely not a Brahmana parampara. Kshatriya parampara. In parampara, the teaching remains the same, that you are whole. You should, emotional independence is foolish. He doesn't even say you should not do it. It is not a commandment. It says emotional independence and emotional dependence on external factors is unwise, is foolish. Emotional independence is wisdom. It comes with wisdom. When you grow in maturity, emotional independence comes. And growth in emotional maturity is it should be initiated. It doesn't happen on its own. This teaching is same for both Kshatriya and Brahmana. The sadhana, however, the preparatory sadhana, however, is different. And that's what they are talking in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Sannyasi, and the Grahastha. So that could be different. That being different, there is no, the teaching is not the for a Kshatriya different. You can compromise on this. No. If you compromise, you will have your problem. If you compromise, you will have a problem. If a Brahmana compromises, society will look at this. Even in law, you have something called exemplary punishment. When somebody, a leader of the society, does something, he's given exemplary punishment. The penalty can be exemplary, damages can be imposed. The law is like that. So when a Brahmana does something adharma, then his punishments are very severe. Kshatriya king does something, the Senapati punishment is very, very severe. So the preparatory sadhana being different, the knowledge is not different at all. This is what we have to understand. So these are the two paramparas. Okay. And the teacher goes further and says, let's see in the next verse also what happens. Let's see about it. You still have time? Oh, yeah. Verse number 2. Evam parampara praptim imam rajarshayo viduhu. Evam parampara praptim rajarshayo viduhu. Imam rajarshayo viduhu. Sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. It is this parampara which came down from rishis. Okay, rishi praptam. Okay, what has happened to that parampara? He said, this parampara, okay, please understand what has happened, unfortunately, has kale neha nashtam, mahata nashtam has happened. There has been erosion of values over the period of time. India is a standing example for that, especially the last 6 decades. Standing example. We have people in power who framed the education system, deliberately framed a system which made you and me ashamed of this 5,000-year culture. I have to have a debate to introduce Bhagavad Gita syllabus in school. A fellow comes with Vibhuti, Nama, and just before the shooting, this is what has happened. Nashtam. Will you wear a dhoti, nice dhoti, and go into a mall? Men also used to have those nice diamond earrings. You wear them. Yeah, now they are wearing this and half is dyed green, other is all brown, although they are doing. In fact, in Tamil they say, karma of the human being has now become cheshta. They say in Tamil, no, cheshta pannada. Cheshta pannada means don't do actions, like animals. Meaningless scratching. Even no animal even scratches itself meaningless. Then you are behaving like an animal. Look at the erosion that has happened. It is not convenient to do certain. People come and ask me, is it compulsory that I should do this? Answer is yes. There were times when people used to say, no, there isn't a choice. Now say no, depending upon your convenience. You can do it over YouTube. See, just come. Simple thing, day interpretation has gone this. Thai Masam is on this day or that day. 15th or 14th. Pongal is on this day or that day. This is also okay, that is also okay. There was a time when they said, no, this is okay for our community. Let others, you forget about what others are doing. This is how it is. Look at the erosion that has taken place. Can you imagine the court sitting on judgment on who should or should on a practice, traditional practice laid down over thousands of years in a temple? Not sitting on whether it's proper or not. We only said that erosion of certain values have taken place. The reverence with which it was held has now been called to question. Essentially because of the Raja. Somebody who said, all aspects of our Vedic culture you're ashamed of talking about. People are afraid to say Jai. Why you in your Hindu country are afraid to say Jai Shri Ram? So that's what he says. What has happened is over a period of time, this has become nashta. The value has come down. Value has come down over a period of time. Everybody and his uncle is qualified to debate on the subject. There are people, even for debate, you have to have a qualification. For example, if you see the story of the Mahabharata, Karna comes and says, I must also be allowed to show my skills. They said, okay, dikha do. Then he says, I must be allowed to combat with Arjun. The seniors say, hey, look, establish your credentials, man. Arjun comes from this parampara. It establishes your credentials. It's beautifully distorted to show that, naturally, aap log dalito ko ye karte hain, wo karte hain. It become a political plank. You've forgotten to understand that to sit and debate with a scholar, you need a certain qualification. In fact, when Shankara wanted to debate with Mandana Mishra was 60 plus. His wife Saraswati Devi was a scholar. She told him, there was radiance, hardly in a 20, 21-year-old boy, radiance was shining out. She said, Vipravar, I don't doubt your scholarship, but I have to tell you something. This is his background. My husband, with whom we are going to debate, and I am supposed to be the judge. This is his background. You are a brahmachari. You have so far done maybe 1 or 2 works. You're not even married. What Grihastha Ashrama secrets do you know? He said, Devi, I agree. Give me some time. I will inquire and come back. That was Shankara. He said, what qualifications do you have to sit and debate? He says, it's 2-bit cinema actors stand on the beach and say, this is what Krishna is what, in him teasing, and he should be arrested. That kind of erosion of values. People allow it. It is not people, it is not the government's problem. It is you and my problem. You are allowing it. And somebody writes, it's also justified. Intolerant. So all this. I don't want to get into the political part of it, but this is called erosion of values. So erosion of values have been happening all along. That's what he says. It is erosion, the knowledge has been eroded. Therefore, what is my responsibility? I have to come back. Ishvara has to come back. Ishvara has to come back as Krishna avatar. I have to come back as Sri Krishna avatara. I have to find an appropriate time, and I have to find an appropriate person to whom I have to educate. He is going to say later, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamam. He is going to say that later. But he is saying that values are eroded. I have to re-establish these values. And when I did it in the past, in the other manvantras, it was a different kind of infrastructure and lifestyle. Today's infrastructure and lifestyle are different. Today, I am going to establish like this. I have chosen the Mahabharata war, and I have chosen you to give it to you. Okay, that's what he says. Okay. Now, therefore, he says in verse number 3, yeah. Sa evayam maya saevayam maya tethya yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetu muttamam. Says, sa, that eva, that he, whatever was given to you to Vivaswan, what Ishvara came to Vivaswan, sa eva, that alone, I am, okay, puratana, the same knowledge, okay, ab, adhya, now, I am going to give to you. Okay, I am giving it to you. Why am I giving it to you? Because you are my sakha, a dear friend. Okay, and this is a uttama knowledge. Etan uttamam, uttama knowledge. And it is rahasyam also. Let's look at some of these terms. Secret. Therefore, I'm not supposed to tell anybody. Nobody is supposed to know. Huh? Is it like that? It is subtle. Not everybody understands. Subtle subject, not everybody can understand. It's a little difficult to understand. So therefore, I have to give it to the person who understands. Because if the person doesn't understand or misunderstanding and distort it and give it further, has to understand it properly. So that's what. Sakha, who is a friend? A friend is one who doesn't judge me. Sakha. Tumi mata pita tumi ho bandhu. Sakha tumi ho. You are my friend. Krishna says you are my friend to Arjuna. And if it is being revealed to you, Ishvara through the Guru says you are my Sakha. And Sakha is a person who loves you. Krishna says everybody can get it. It's meant for everybody. But I love those more who do pravachan, who talk Gita, who understand Gita, who love to live their life by Gita. I love them more. So, I'm teaching Gita because I want Krishna to love me more. Okay? And I have to love you all. Quite simply because I need you, I require you to understand Gita. Only then it will spread. So he says, I am a Sakha. It is an Uttamanyana, knowing which everything else is as well known. If you know gold, all the ornaments made out of gold are known to you. Uttamanyana. I have to teach you this, and it is rahasya because it is subtle. Subtle things cannot be taught to everybody. It needs a certain maturity. So this is how Krishna is introducing. It is the ultimate secret. Very important point. Why in the middle of the battlefield? Say, why not teach you when you are 99? You're waiting next week is your doctor ne jawab de diya. That's the best time to teach. So what happens is, our Swamiji used to say, imagine somebody is going to Rishikesh. Okay. And when he goes, people give a lot of dhanam and things like that. And in the month of May, he's returning to Chennai. People is in Kambal, woolen Kambal Danam is in Chennai. What will you do with the woolen? As it is, you don't need shirt in Madras heat. And if somebody gives him woolen blanket, he should be given appropriately. So why not give him at the age of 99 and a half? Or when he is infirm, can't move, so better sit at home and do online Vedanta. You can't anyway move. So why go outside, risk of falling down, breaking your bones and things? Now, what is ultimate good for you, what is absolutely good for you, must be given to you here and now. He says, I am giving you now. This is how the first 3 verses of chapter 4 are introduced to us. We'll see further in our next session what Arjuna has to say. And now the whole chapter is unfolded. Commitment is what is called for. It is meant for you and me. It is meant for you in this Janma, here and now. Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahisha go brahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam shoparahitah brahmana santu nirbhaya sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya om purnamada purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vasishyate om shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai सब संतों की जय हो स्वामी दयानंद महाराज की जय हो आदि गुरुनाथ की जय हो We'll meet next Friday.